If you value these conversations, subscribe and leave a review. It helps more than you think. This episode of the Jeansland podcast is brought to you by Inside Denim, the global resource for everything denim. From sustainability insights to fabric innovation and brand stories shaping the future of the jeans industry. Inside Denim keeps you informed and inspired. So stay ahead of what's next in denim at InsideDenim.com. Umer Farooq Qureshi did an interview with me a year ago, which is our most popular podcast that we've ever done. More people have listened to that by a lot than any other podcast. Umer is a textile to tech strategist, a leading digital innovation person in denim and supply chain specialist in traceability, customer engagement solutions, and brand protection using AI. He's very smart. He writes a lot in LinkedIn. And if you're interested in the supply chain and what's going on, he's a great guy to listen to. I'm very happy to have him here again today. Umer, first of all, I have to wish you a happy post-Eid. I hope you had a good holiday.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Andrew. It's always nice to catch up with you. And I did have a very fantastic holiday. It's always good to catch up with friend, family, and Eid is always that kind of festival.
But it's not nice in terms of the global situation. And today, I'm really happy that you're here. It's almost a year since we talked.
Yes, I was just recalling my notes, and the things we discussed actually are even more relevant as compared to what we discussed in the past.
Crazy times with this war going on.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, no one could have predicted that the most unrelated kind of countries would be the biggest recipient of all the damage, the collateral damage they will go through.
So I'm not sure everyone's aware of all the damage that's going on. So let's start. Somewhere in Dhaka right now, probably, there's a factory owner sitting with tons and tons of garments ready in a warehouse at the airport, paid for, packed, tagged, going nowhere because it can't ship. He didn't start the war. The factory owner didn't start this war. His workers certainly didn't start the war, but they're paying for it in fuel, in lines, in power cuts, canceled flights, spiking costs. While the men who started it, who knows where they are or what they're doing. Is this like a true reality today?
Yes, actually, the way it started, I think almost 24 days ago, no one could have predicted that things would escalate in such a way that our supply chain, especially when we are talking about the supply chain of textiles and denim, would get affected so much. All the airports in the Middle East, like Bahrain, Qatar, Doha, and Dubai, serves as the major transshipment hubs. And if you look at the brands like Zara, who are basically fast fashion brands, have a business model in which they airlift a lot of shipments from places like Bangladesh. And all of a sudden, they had their goods ready in Dhaka airport, and the flights were not there because the airspace was closed because of the conflict between Iran and US. And things since then have been escalating like anything. And the problem is that countries like Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh, which unfortunately or fortunately are the biggest sourcing hubs as well, are paying the price of this war, which they were not even a stakeholder of it. So that's the biggest unfortunate reality we are facing today.
But the practical reality is that to get cargo from Pakistan, Bangladesh to Europe, you need to go through the Middle East, right?
I mean, for export, not as such, you don't have to go through the Strait of Hormuz. You have to go through the Red Sea. But the problem is that since there as well, the Houthis are there, the shipping lines are now following the path which is longer through the Cape of Good Hope. So even the transit times have increased like for 2 to 3 weeks. But it's not just export that has an impact. The biggest impact is that Strait of Hormuz used to be the biggest corridor of oil and LNG to the world. I mean, they are the choke point of oil and many of the raw materials as well. And when your raw material and inputs get hit, your cost of energy, your every input gets affected. I mean, countries like Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh are very much dependent on oil and LNG for their energy, right? and they run their power plants. They're used for transportation, and when the cost of transportation goes up, it has a direct impact on the inflation. I mean, I can tell you for Pakistan, in a single week, the prices of petrol and diesel shot up to 20%. I mean, highest ever in the history of the country. I mean, the prime minister came on the TV. He had to tell the people that we are taking some measures and putting up some emergency plan. But you can see the gravity of the situation where all of a sudden things hiked up so much, and then it's a chain reaction. You know, you can't control it.
So let me stop you there. So the prices of fuel have gone up 20% in Pakistan. The
Yes,
cost of producing anything requires, like heating in the factory or for the machinery, all of that requires energy.
absolutely,
The transportation for the workers to get to the factory.
absolutely.
Those are the current prices. Yet the orders that were booked 2, 3 months ago are expected to be delivered at the price that they were originally booked at, right?
Yes, so it's a double whammy, Andrew. You're absolutely right. You highlighted a very pertinent point that majority of the vertical setups in Pakistan are forward booked for like 3, 4 months, and their margins are already locked. But now you have a situation where your input cost to produce that material is going up. And then when the time will come to ship it, the cost of shipping lines with the freight cost have really shot up, because now either there is a supply demand issue, or if they can even ship it, they have to go through a path which is more expensive, because it will not only take more time, but the shipping lines have put some sort of insurance premium, which someone, the buyer or the supplier, will have to borne the cost of.
Plus, for the nation and from the people that live in the country, the imports cost more.
Yes, so we import a lot of raw materials, dyes, chemical accessories. I was just talking to a factory owner, a very leading factory owner in Bangladesh, and he told me that as compared to Pakistan, India, and their country, I mean, Bangladesh is even most vulnerable, because they import a lot of their raw materials out of Bangladesh, and their energy mix is very much dependent on LNG as compared to Pakistan and India. So the impact might be on Bangladesh, as per him, might be more pronounced as compared to other countries. And we are talking about Bangladesh when it was already going through a period of turbulence before the elections. If you look at their export data, they had 7 months of negative growth till last month. And they were just things were settling up before the election came in and the new government came in. And all of a sudden, this new crisis has crept in.
And what about the currencies in all
I
three
mean,
countries?
India, you see, the currency had an impact, because the problem is, unlike oil, uh, Qatar supplies the LNG, and there is no alternate route available except the Strait of Hormuz, and they are very much dependent on Qatar's LNG. And already, you see, in India, there was a devaluation last week, and their currency, I think, for the last 2 years, has been gradually depreciating, because first they had issues with Trump over the tariffs and all that, and you know it. So the suppliers and the supply chain has been into this phase of continued spiral of problems, one way or the other. And
I want to go through all the elements. So not only did petrol price go up, but the currency goes down, which makes it even more expensive.
yes, so your input costs are going, and your revenue has devaluated on top of your margin. So I mean, exactly.
And then what about interest rates?
I mean, if things keep on going like this, there is a high expectation that inflation will kick in, and the Fed and the central banks of the world will have to come in and hike up the interest rates to control the inflation. I mean, these are like first order, second order effects of, if things don't come to a point where we can resolve it amicably. uh, I mean, you see, Trump has been very vocal about reducing interest rates in US, and even the Fed, they are fighting over the same issue, that in order to bring stability, they can't do it. But now with this situation, if the things don't stop, we might see again interest rates going up to control the inflation.
Do you think that the customers will accept a higher price?
I mean, customers. I mean,
I mean, right now, people are going to have to ask for more money. I have to, right?
of course, the retailers might say, but the people in US and Europe are not in a very healthy shape as well either, right? I mean, if you look at the surveys and the way there have been some layoffs due to AI in the tech companies, the situation on the ground is not that great as well. And the category we work in denim knits, it's more of a discretionary kind of a spending, where your disposable income, if you have an extra bit of it, you go and do some spending. So if your not disposable income is shrinked and the inflation kicks in, obviously people might not be taking the decision to buy it or not. And it's a double whammy, Andrew, if you look at it. On one side, the supplier is being penalized because his input costs are increasing. But on the other side, brands might look at their sales forecast and say the sales are not going the way we forecasted. So we might have to, review our POs or stuff like that. And we might have to, reduce the order sizes. So being a supplier, if you are in their shoes, imagine the kind of situation you will be in, where on one side your overheads are increasing, and on the other side, the forecast is not behaving like the way it should have been.
So that means the companies in the supply chain that have money will need to use it or access to money. The
Yes,
ones that don't have money or have weak access to more money can't afford this.
yes, financial strength, being less leveraged as much as they can be, is something will be a very highly priced virtue in nowadays, in this scenario, where the less leverage you are, the less you are forced to pay for the interest payments, whether it's for working capital or some your long term loans, is something will go a long way for the companies working in this environment.
You can also visit jeansland.co and sign up for our bi-weekly newsletter. It gives you access to our full archive, along with the developments, shifts, and stories shaping the denim supply chain in real time. Follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram to stay connected between episodes. So we can say that if this goes on, how long do you think it is before some people start to actually, their businesses crash on the supply side?
I mean, the business, to be honest, is already in a very fragile space. I mean, brands have squeezed a lot. I mean, if you just imagine, virtually every supplier had to somehow or the other had to absorb the tariff upcharge, right?
Yes,
Uh,
they asked for 5. Many of the brands asked for a 5% rebate, which now they're going to get back, apparently.
exactly. And so suppliers, there's nothing that came back into the pockets of the suppliers. It's just that all hidden or visible margins got squeezed. And now on top of it, you have the situation, how much a supplier can go low. I mean, they're already, to be honest, in a very fragile situation, and it's just a matter of time that we'll see a sort of an effect where people will give up. How long they can keep on fighting such system?
But I think that the suppliers have to go to the customers and ask for more money.
There
That
has been an effort.
there needs to be a very serious effort on it.
I was talking to a very leading top five exporters of Pakistan a day before Eid, and they're already trying to convince to the suppliers that they can't, just keep on absorbing, because we are still in a situation where the crisis is still on. The war has not ended, right? and
No,
and things can go anywhere, right? So there needs to be a mechanism where some transparent way should exist, where the buyer and the supplier sit together and create a mechanism where they trust each other, that up to an extent supplier will bear this cost, but beyond that point the buyers will have to come in and share that burden with the suppliers. Otherwise, it's a no way.
many years ago when I started my career, the MITI, MITI, was the trade organization in Japan. I'm sure it still exists. And they were really involved in trade. And for example, in those days, they used to have this blacklist. And if you did something wrong, they put you on the blacklist and you couldn't buy Japanese products.
Really?
Yes, if you, for instance, didn't pay your bill and or you didn't take your goods, MITI would, in those days, everybody wanted to buy Japanese goods. When I started working in my career, Nishiwaki produced, one little town in Japan produced 22 million yards of yarn dyes a month. A month. So if you were in the yarn dye shirt business, there was no place else to go. And if Nishiwaki and the Japanese government said, that's it, no more, you were out of business, basically. You had to go to Italy or Austria to go get your yarn dyes, which was an entirely different price. So I think that history should repeat itself, and the countries should actually get engaged in helping their factories work together to do business in a nice way. You have a lot
Yes,
of power.
absolutely.
The Pakistan government, the Bangladesh government has a lot of power. If they turn off shipping for 2 weeks, the whole industry is messed up. So who has the power?
I mean, to be honest, we see a lack of unity, maybe, or sense of calling the shots, because I see at the end of the day, everyone is fighting for itself. And since
I understand that, but the reason we have a country, if you think about the reason why is there a country, the reason there's a
absolutely,
country because a group of people want to work together to protect each other. That's why we have countries. Otherwise, there's no need for any country. So, when it comes to business, we've learned lessons through COVID. I'm not really sure I understand why countries don't take care of their exporters. They need them.
yes, I mean, theoretically, you are right. And the governments, to their extent, are trying to facilitate at least exporters in Pakistan in easing out the working capital, and whatever they can do with the visibility of the shipping lines and keeping the oil prices and making sure the gas, I mean the LNG, is routed to industries. And if even if they have to bar the houses and the residential sector, but beyond that thing, I think we don't have such cuts, I would say, where we can say that beyond this point it's unreasonable. If you just look at the last year, I mean, the things got ugly in Bangladesh, the business moved to India, the tariffs got unsustainable over there in India, the business moved to Pakistan, and the business has been hopping all around the same way, because there is so much surplus capacity, and there is always someone who is willing to go an extra mile. I mean, I know even such cases where there are certain retailers who have lost the ability to get insured. We have, in this business, we work in open terms, you know that, and there is always a factoring company who comes in and do the factoring. But I came across a case where a major retailer couldn't get the factoring in, and in spite of that, there were suppliers who were willing to do that business and taking on all that risk on their own. I mean, they were literally financing a retailer on zero interest rate.
Well, Chanel financed Saks, so we know that that happens. So,
And you know how it can lead to and where it can lead to. So things are very clear. I mean, where things are going.
all right, let's go to the back to the war. What is going to happen in the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks in our industry? We're going to have late shipments. We're going to have longer delivery times.
I mean, the delivery
We're
times are already delayed because most of the shipping lines have rerouted their shipments to the Cape of Good Hope. So, I mean, 2 week, 3 week delays will be getting in. The inputs are already getting costly. I was just talking to a mill, and he was saying that they used to import 2,000 kgs per month by air, and it used to cost them $3,000, and the same chemical is now costing them $18,000. So just imagine, the same input material might not even make sense to add into the product, and the customer might have to take a decision if to still continue with it or not. So a lot of things will change for sure. Already there is the projection announced that GDPs of Pakistan, India, and Bangladesh might contract. I mean, that's already a very big projection that even after this 24 days of war, the repercussions and the ripple effects of this will go at least till the end of this year.
okay. Well, that gives us a good summary, a really good summary of what's going on right now. I really appreciate you giving us this information. You're a fountain of information. Is there anything more you want to add to tell us that we should be aware of?
I mean, I would just like to end on a note that these things are not happening randomly. I mean, at the end of the day, we are going through a systematic and structural change. And to be honest, it's more of a transition from an old world order toward a multipolar new world order. And our industries and our business models were designed for a kind of world that does not exist today. The more we will try to keep firefighting the situation, hoping that good time will return or the old ways of doing business will return, it will never happen again. So I would urge everyone to look into their business model, look at the fundamental way of how they used to do a business, and really look into how, will it survive, because the business, the capabilities of the people and the structures are not designed for the realities the business are facing today and they will face tomorrow. So unless and until we don't do the surgery, rather than taking pills and waiting for times to come back, the situation will get even worse. So this is my humble message to everybody listening, is that let's look into the way we have been doing this business and see if we are in for what we planned, and if it's not, then we need to change the way we are doing business.
Who needs to change, the sellers or the buyers or the producers? I think the producers are the ones that are in the wrong business.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, producers need to get some courage. I mean, Levi's was a manufacturer long ago. They learned that they could take this leverage and they become a brand. And the suppliers of today are doing all the hand lifting. I mean, they're doing everything. Why can't they step up and be a brand? They start with private label brand. They spend the differential money on the retail price, on the marketing and stuff, and go there and start selling. I mean, at they can sell at a better price point the same product with more control on the customer side, and start doing the unthinkable. I mean, somewhere, someday, someone has to step up. It has to be today.
When a textile company took on the real challenge of dealing directly and sending their message directly to their consumer, Loro Piana is a perfect example.
Yes,
Zegna, another perfect
yes,
example.
absolutely.
There are absolutely examples of companies that patiently, the key word is patiently, told their story to their customers.
Absolutely. I mean, we are doing everything except storytelling. And this is the thing we lack in. The biggest thing is the courage we lack in, I think. And I think the situation is forcing all the suppliers into a corner tigered position, I would say, where at some day they'll decide they have no option left but to step up. Then, keep on being squeezed till the time they no more exist.
Umer, thank you. We've covered this ground before. We'll cover this ground again. I think we should catch up again in a month and let's discuss post-war, hopefully, and what it all means and see how the situation is again in a month.
Thanks a lot, Andrew. And I hope things get better next time we meet and we have some positive stories and things to discuss as compared to the situation we are in right now.
It could get much worse.
Let's hope for the best. My favorite movie dialogue says that hope is the best thing. Probably, I mean, hope is a good thing, probably the best thing. And the good things never dies.
Well, I always think that hope is not a strategy.
Of course, you're absolutely right. Spot on.
So we can hope, but the leadership in this country has decided to go this direction, and they don't care about the rest of the world and what it means to everybody else and what it means to their economies, to their citizens. So we're in a situation where none of us have a control, and we wait for this individual to decide to engage more, wider, or stop. We'll see. And even if he stops, the other side might not. They might just
Yes.
begin.
Yes, yes, you're absolutely right. I mean, crazy times.
This is the one element of all of this that I think is not amusing, but is interesting, is that just because one party decides to stop, the other party might continue for the next 5 years in their own way.
You're right. You're absolutely right. I mean, we are in a situation where, to be honest, the outcome is not in our hands and we are just spectators. But on the other hand, we are the biggest recipient of the collateral damage.
Yes. Once again, thank you. Thank you for
Thanks a
doing
lot.
this. I know it's late. I wish you a good night and a good tomorrow.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Take care and talking to you soon.
Thanks.